Hello, everybody. I am Bridgett Battles, Executive Presence Strategist for the Bridgett Battles Experience. And y'all, I got a good one for you today. What an amazing panel that we are about to have. Now, before I introduce our panelists and our amazing professional colleagues here, I want everybody to take a moment and make sure you are sharing this broadcast, make sure you are liking this broadcast, and make sure that you are commenting so that we can see your interaction with us. It is our goal today and our mission to make sure that we give you some powerful information, but also we want to hear from you. We want to know some of the things that, you feel like you're falling short of. We want to know some things that you may need from us so that we can make sure that we cover this in this conversation today. So I want to make sure I got everybody's name correct for the panels. So let's get this conversation started. First off, we have joining us, founder and owner of Merkury, Sofia, Deleon. So I'm going to pretend like I got an audience, okay? So I need all the panelists. Just wave your hands. That's going to be a sign of our claps as we welcome on the panelists. All right, Sofia, Deleon. And then next we have Monica Herrera Zuniga. She is the budget and grant analyst at Widener University Small Business Development Center. All right, y'all, give her some hand wave. And then next we have Marisol Medina. It's VP Senior Group Manager, Specialty Small Business Banking and Merchant Services. And last but not least, certainly this fine gentleman that we have with us today, Jason Evans, Manager responsible for sourcing and supplier diversity. So panelists, are y'all excited about this discussion? I just want to know, are y'all excited? Like, I want to say this is what I'm talking about, Monica. Right. Jason, you excited?
Yes. Oh yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Marisol, how you feeling? You good?
Super excited. Nice to
good.
be here.
Okay. How about you, Sofia?
So excited.
All right, so before we get into some of the questions, because I want to make sure we've given our audience a chance to join us, my first thing that I would love for all of you to do is to take 30 seconds. And what I want you to tell me is that why you are so committed to this work. So I'm starting with you, Jason.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me today. I'm really passionate and excited about this work. I believe that we all need to create opportunities. We all need to work together. I am an LGBT and Black-owned business that I have of my own, JD Evans Solutions. So I really care about this work. I always have cared. I've been working in supplier diversity about 7 years now. And it's important that we work together to create and identify opportunities.
Love it, love it, love it. Sofia, why are you passionate about this work?
I'm passionate about this because I think representation matters, right? Because the more you see people that don't look like you or that look like you, the more you accept it and the more it becomes normal, right? The more diversity is great, but it would be great if it wasn't so needed, right? Because it was just acceptable, it was the norm.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Marisol?
That's a great question. I really feel, I'm very passionate about this, and I feel that we should be one voice in, building connected communities to serve the communities we live in and we work in.
Yeah, so let's get into the supplier diversity conversation. And so my first question goes to you, Jason, and that is, for the business owner who is just learning, how to really grow and scale their business, can you explain to them what a supplier diversity program is and how they can benefit a small business?
Absolutely. So supplier diversity programs are designed to help larger businesses, larger corporations work with and identify and utilize small, local, and diverse businesses as part of their procurement process. So, they could have the, business as usual where, you go to the big box stores, you get everything, or you've been using the same supplier for 20, 30 years, and we've always done it that way. We want to change that model. We want to change that mechanism and that thought process because there are a lot more minority and diverse suppliers in the marketplace now. And what we need to do is make people aware that these businesses exist, and we need to create opportunities so they can get their foot in the door. And then once, they have their foot in the door, they can thrive. But we have to make sure we're creating opportunities to get them that access that they did not have before.
Yeah. And, I agree with everything you just said, because I think people get used to comfortability. They get used to, this is the same supplier I've always used. I don't want to disrupt the flow, and I want to just keep my standing relationship. And I just believe that, as a small business owner, if you want to grow and scale your business, you have to have the mindset and be open for change. And if you're not open for change, that is not how you're going to be able to grow. And so when it comes to being part of supplier diversity programs, it's so important for all the diverse business owners to take advantage of conversations like this today, because conversations like this today is what's going to help get your footing so that the organizations you need to be connecting with, seeing what kind of resources they have to offer, meeting some of these panelists, understanding with their roles at their current organizations. And this will also give you a window in how you get to your next. So, Sofia, talk about getting to your next. I would love to hear, as a business owner, share with us, what is one of your obstacles, or what has been your obstacle that you were able to overcome, to get you to the place where you are now?
Well, for one, when I first started, I'm from Guatemala, and Merkury basically focuses on Central American street food. And when I first got here, nobody had any idea what Central America even was. Central America, is that part of Mexico? A pupusa? Is that a hot pocket? So one of the biggest obstacles was education. People had no idea what these small countries were. And in fact, if they knew anything, it was the negativity that was shown in the media. So one of my biggest obstacles was teaching people that these countries had so much to offer, that we had really good food, and that it was unlike what was already here. So it was educating with the customer and then connecting with them. And I think through that, people began understanding. And I think that's why I do what I do, because I think connecting through food is the best way to share cultures. And I'm really happy to say that now people come and they're like, oh, I'll get a Salvadorian pupusa, I'll get a Guatemalan enchilada, and it's the most normal thing. So I feel like that's a win.
So I'm adding that to my bucket list. I'm going to try this, okay?
Yes.
And then I'm going to go live and do a review for you. So I'm going to try your food. All right, y'all, hold me to this, all right? Because I do believe
I will.
support. Yes, I believe in supporting. So, Marisol, one of the things that I have noticed when it comes to small business owners, and that is, sometimes they can be so happy to just have the business, and people are starting to support the business, and people are starting to actually, pay for their product or their service. And so the first thing they do is they automatically set up a PayPal account, or they automatically set up a Square, or they start using Cash App. I want to know, how can a business owner pick the right bank?
That's an absolutely amazing question. When you think about banking, we pretty much offer the same products and services, right? And what really sets us apart is two things: it's service delivery and the relationship that you're building with that person as soon as you walk into one of the bank locations. So you definitely want to be able to have a dedicated person, which we call relationship manager, to really help you and someone that you can rely upon to get to know your business and what the business needs are. So a perfect example is, at TD, each business customer has a dedicated relationship manager. So definitely find a financial institution similar to TD that's going to offer you extended hours. So we're very known for our 7 days, right? Because you want to be able to have more than just your 9 to 5 Monday through Friday type of connection with your relationship manager. And also really think about, what bank offers in terms of connecting you with other businesses as well. Are they a preferred SBA lender? Do they have real-time payment programs? How can these banks really help business owners get paid faster?
That's good information. So, Monica, I have a loaded question for you, okay? And I already know you have the answer, so I'm not even
All
worried,
right.
okay? So let's get into it. So let's talk about the startup phase, okay? You know, is there any special focus on helping startups for multicultural women-owned small businesses? And how do you reach them? And then what does community outreach look like?
Oh, well, those are many, many, many questions. But let's start talking a little bit about the small business development centers. There's some group of people who said that we are the best kept secret in the state. So we are part of a larger network of centers that offer technical assistance and educational training to a small business owners. So we are all around Pennsylvania and actually other states that are similar service. We offer free of cost technical assistance for people who wanted to start, grow, or prosper their business, right? So back into your question, the startup process, it is hard. You know, we all might have a good idea about a business, or maybe a resource that I have, and I don't see someone doing that in the state or in the city that you are. But making that step to start a business could be hard. So we as part of the center and the network have developed one training that is called a first step. So that is that first step that you wanted to have or make when you are thinking about creating a business, knowing what is coming, right? And understanding that you as an entrepreneur are going to be wearing several hats, right? And you are going, for a while, you are going to be the only person who is running financials, doing marketing, you know, and doing operations and all that. So those are one of the points. We at the center have special trainings, like long-term trainings. Once you do that first step, we have special trainings for business that wanted to start. We have one in English that is called Fast Track, and we are utilizing a Kaufman Foundation curriculum. And we have the same training in Spanish, because we know that getting all that knowledge for people who doesn't speak English, it could be really, really important, right? So having it in Spanish, it will help diverse businesses just to reach the level that they want to have. We also have another, we have the Center of Excellence for Latino Entrepreneur Businesses. And the way that we run it is that we offer the same capacity of services in English and in Spanish. So we have a large team of members that their English is not their first language. So we can provide the services in Spanish and in English. And then we connect with other community-based organizations, and we collaborate with them to deliver the trainings, because we, as part of a knowledge institution, we have all that connections with how to teach, but the organizations in the community have the connection with the people. So we have been connected with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We have been connecting with Lancaster Avenue 21. And we have been connecting with NKCDC and other organizations that are offering services in the city of Philadelphia and in Delaware County as well.
Thank you so much. And so for those of you who are just joining us, we are now in the midst of Aldea Women's Roundtable, and we're providing resources and giving you first-class information for leaders in this industry. And so just before we move on to the next question, I just want to encourage anybody who's watching us, make sure you liking and sharing the broadcast. Make sure you're engaging in the chat, but also make sure you're taking notes. Taking notes for some of this information, some of these resources. And the only way as a small business owner that you will grow is by you really taking the time to actually learn. And so for the past 2 years, we've all faced a huge economic impact, and the economy is going up, down. Like some days you don't know. I know I went to the market this week, y'all, and I paid $5 for a dozen of eggs, okay? So listen, Jason, I'm not lying. I was like, wait, what is going on here? Okay. But here's the key. When the price are increased and it's things that you need, you have to purchase those things. And so I want to say to the diverse business owner, to the small business owner, there are times that, the small business owner has to increase their price so that they can still function and still be in existence. I know a lot of businesses didn't make it through the pandemic. So, Jason, there are so many changes in the economy each month. How can small business owners prepare for uncertainties?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think, Marisol might be able to answer this one better, but I'll take a first shot at it.
Oh, we can do a double team. Listen, we're family here. We can make it a partnership.
Okay. I think a priority is, staying in contact with your banker, have that relationship with your banker, so when different grants and opportunities come along, like PPP and EIDL loans and things of that nature, your bank will be able to help you with those programs. They will help you with those applications. Same goes for the chambers of commerce, making sure that you're talking with the chambers of commerce, you become a member, you work with them, they find out about grants, and they can share that information with you, help you with the application process. The chambers of commerce, especially in your local communities, are here to help you. And they really do. They do an excellent job. They've, all of the chambers, the African American Chamber of Greater Philadelphia, the Hispanic Chamber of Greater Philadelphia, all of them, LGBTQ, the IBA, the Asian American Chamber of Commerce have all been really extremely helpful navigating this pandemic as people have taken, a hit or a loss. Their business had to close for a short period of time or inflation is causing problems. So, reaching out to those partners who want to help you succeed is, your first line of attack. And that comes from the chambers, the banks, and your community. So Marisol, if you'd like to add.
Yes, definitely. I would definitely want to piggyback on that. And it's something as simple as, creating a plan. You definitely want to be able to get educated on how you can build stable financing and cash reserves. And to Jason's point, your banker is going to help you figure out, what you need to do, whether it's, if you need a loan or a credit line. When you think about the perfect storm and the economy and how many businesses had to pivot, especially during an economic downturn, how are you preparing your budgets? What are some of the accounting methods that you're using to be able to cut some costs and, better prepare for uncertainty and the unknown? You definitely want to be in a position where, you should be decreasing some of your spending where possible. I know personally, I've had to re-budget, right, and decrease spending as well. Definitely evaluate your inventory orders and eliminate costs for non-essential items that you really don't need. And I think Jason alluded to this earlier too in his response. You have to work proactively with your business, suppliers, negotiate payments, look at all your finances, incoming and outgoing, and definitely take that experience as a learning experience to make the necessary changes to prepare.
All right, so you diverse business owners, small business owners, make sure you go to TD Bank today, not tomorrow, okay? Go to TD Bank. We want to make sure that, listen, you're getting connected. So Monica, there are times that, language can be a barrier. So what does language access look like for some of your services? I know you started sharing a little bit in your previous comment. Give us a deeper dive. What does that look like?
Yeah, okay, sure. We
let me tell you a little story. Our director, Lenin Agudo, he had this vision of seeing the population, the Latino population increasing in the state of Pennsylvania, in the city of Philadelphia. And if we see numbers, just in the city of Philadelphia, 5% of the Latino population, we have increased in 5% of the Latino population in the last 10 years, right? But in the last 27 years, we have been increasing 27%. So we are growing, right? And the Latino community are creating, we are the community that are creating businesses in the fastest way in the country. So we are creating 50% faster the business in the community. So there's a need definitely for reaching the services, because maybe the business owners could be that they speak English, but maybe not, right? So offering services in Spanish and translating all the materials, it is really key for us. So as I mentioned, we at the center offer all the services. You know, I help with accessing to capital, help to put together your financials and your budget so you can access to capital with a bank or a community development.
So for language access, is it printed material, or is there an interpreter, or is there, what are the other areas for?
So we have printed materials.
Okay.
We offer one-on-one technical assistance in Spanish. We offer trainings in Spanish. And we can, you know, we go hand to hand with lenders or other resources, so we can be part of the process of getting access to the different services.
I love it. I love it. So, so this is for all of you. If you just give me a hand sign, you know, there is, I believe that anytime you're in any type of career or you set out for any type of project, you need a mentor. And, you know, I think professional mentorship is so important. So if all of you could just like shake your hand and tell me, you know, do you have professional mentors, or are you a professional mentor? I would just love to just see, you know, your hands. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Awesome.
And I would say not just like a mentor, but like a network, like building your network with like people that can help you. And like sometimes people, especially small business owners, like we don't think about that. We're like, you know, always like thinking about a business all the time, but like, you know, you forget that like you are your network, and like you might need others to help you grow. So I think that's it, like apart from having a mentor, like I think having like a really strong network of people to look up to is really important.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Having that strong network is going to be key. But also, you know, to go along with what you said, this is one of the principles that I actually live by. And that is, for so many years, we was always taught it's about who you know. It's about who you know. And so like I've changed my mindset. For me, it's not about who I know. It's about who knows me. Because I know a lot of people, but do these people know me? Because if you know me, you know what value that I add. If you know me, you know I have the power to command the audience. If you know me, you know I have the power to impact your bottom line. If you know me, you know I come with strategy. So understanding that as a diverse business owner, people need to know you, because if they know you, they know the value that you add. And then they also know that you have the solution to their problem. And so I think it's so significant when we talk about mentorships and, you know, also having tough conversations, because every day with business, it's not great. You know, some days you have an amazing day, and then some days it's challenging. And the challenge, it can be financially, it can be emotionally, you know, it can be in so many different aspects. So I want to dig a little deeper, you know, on the mentorship piece. And I would love for any one of you who wants to chime in on that. And so, you know, I think that with the mentorship, knowing what to say is important. And I say that because I think, I've experienced cases, where I've had conversations and then you hear all of the good stuff. But no, I want the good and I want the bad because I want to learn from what you have experienced. I'm not one of those ones that believe if you tell me the stove is hot, I'm still going to touch it. No, if you tell me that, you over ordered too much inventory and that you didn't follow through on your marketing and you missed a step, I'm going to listen to you. So let's talk about, mentorship. Like, so for example, I would love to hear from you, Sofia, people who are starting up, entrepreneurs who are starting up, and they come to you and ask for advice. What is the one thing you say to them?
I would say surround yourself with people that you trust, which is sometimes the hardest part. Find people that are reliable, that you can trust, and that have a positive attitude, because especially in the restaurant industry, you spend so much time with these people that, like, if someone has a negative attitude, even if they have the best skills, like, you're not going to want to spend time with them. So I think surrounding yourself with people that you want to be with and that you are okay being with for several hours is really important. And the skills will come later, but the attitude can never change.
Oh,
so
that's
attitude
good. The
is
skills
really
will come
important.
later, but the social media, y'all need to write that in the comments. The skills will come later. I love that. That's a tweetable moment, y'all. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, Sofia.
Yeah. So I think, people skills are like finding the right people is the hardest part, but the most important.
I love it. So Monica, what's the first piece of advice that you give?
So the first piece of advice is just to, talk with people, talk and listen to them, right? So sometimes when we start a business, we think that maybe we have everything figured out, right? but that is not necessarily the reality. And when you have a mentor and they ask you tough questions, sometimes that is hard because it's just like, oh no, I know what am I doing. But if you step back and think why they are asking that, right? It's not because they wanted to hurt you, or it's not because they wanted to make you a bad. It's the contrary. Sometimes it's because and Sofia just said it, sometimes the business owners are so deep dive in their business that they don't see outside the box, right? So when someone said like, oh, so why you request that amount of inventory? It is sometimes we will feel it like an attack, but not necessarily, right? It's just like, oh, maybe you have the right answer. Oh, because the holiday season is coming and I need to make sure that I have everything, right? Or I don't know, that was the month that I purchased last month, and this month is going to be different, right? So when people ask you tough questions and they offer you other resources, that is always good, right? Sometimes we know the time is a scarce resource, but connecting with other institutions, other resources, and learning about them, that could help you a lot, right? Because sometimes businesses don't want, they say like, oh, I don't want to deal with the city, but maybe the city has a magnificent program that can help you. They can have grants, they can have procurement programs for small businesses. They could have like different connections. And sometimes we are so into in the process that we don't want to get into those places, but that can make the differences.
Jason, you have something you want to add?
Yeah, yes, I do. Thank you. One other thing I'm just going to throw in there, and I don't work for any chambers of commerce, I swear, but I'm a huge advocate for them. And I believe that they have a lot of great services. Again, with the chambers, you can find, they have all the tools. They are aware of the ongoings with the national chambers and on a national level. So again, work with your local chamber because they have mentorship programs. I'm actually a mentor in 2 of the national level chambers, the NGLCC and the NMSDC. I work with both of them. We have a team from TD where there's a group of us that are mentors on both programs. Tommy, who's on the call, is one of the mentors as well. And we provide feedback based on our own personal experiences that we can share with suppliers, you know, in a different tier or who are growing or navigating, and it's helpful. The tools are there, and it's a lot of it is just finding out where they are. And, you know, something that I've found as a business owner is, you know, working with the chambers, you find out about so many of these tools that you weren't aware of. And so I really strongly suggest, you know, you at least talk to them, go to their events, hang out, talk to some of the people there, because we've all been through it at some point in time. And there could be a little tidbit that they could share with you that could make all the difference in the world for your business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hands down. I agree. So Marisol, you know, for me, and y'all don't judge me, okay? But for me, going to the bank is just like going to the doctor. It's because you're getting my most prized possessions, my money, and you're dealing with my body, okay? If my body ain't functioning, I ain't making money, okay? If my money is running, you know, I don't feel well. So with me, it works so well together. So, you know, which means when you know, you gotta be transparent at some point. If you want to be success, you know, that's the only way you fix things and you grow. So Marisol, how can women and minority business owners position themselves for success?
That's a really good question. I would say that, to Jason's point too, you definitely want to look at what's available out there in terms of getting certified, like, so pursuing certifications under WBE, which is like Women in Business. There's so many organizations out there. Jason mentioned some of the different chambers of commerce. You have like the LGBT Chamber of Commerce, you have the LGBTBE. One of the things that Tommy, who's on the call, can better educate us on is that you definitely can start doing some research on, you know, how to officially certify for some of these organizations, especially like National Minority, Supplier Diversity. There's just so many. Women Business Enterprise National Council. The certification process, I will tell you that there's businesses with at least 51% that are diverse owned, managed, and controlled, which is absolutely amazing. Including like diverse ownership of members who oversee like the daily operations and the management. So definitely do some research on trying to certify through one of these organizations.
That's very good. Very, very good. And so I love that everybody's tying it back to resources, because understanding about all of the chambers, understanding about WeBank, and also understanding about NMSDC. And those are key advocacy agencies that you definitely want to make sure that you know about them, and knowing about them, getting connected, getting on their mailing list, going to some of the networking events, because when you go to networking events, that is where you get access to people that you may not normally get them on the phone, because during the day-to-day operations of every single thing, sometimes it's hard to get that connection. But the moment that you go to networking, you know, 5 or 10 minutes talking to someone may give you all the answers that you need. So it's so important to be connected to these. And so my next question is to you, Sofia. And that is, you know, I understand that, you know, your restaurant business has grown, you know, and you are scaling. And then I also want to hear a little bit about, you know, have you noticed a change in the number of diverse women-owned businesses since you first opened your business?
So to the scaling part, yes, I think, you know, as like I started out being like a one-woman team, you know, like I oftentimes like it's the whole family that goes into the restaurant or they have a partner. But like for me, I was HR, I was
You was
marketing.
you was customer service.
I was everything. Still am sometimes actually, but like slowly you have to delegate, and delegate oftentimes it's like a dirty word, like how can I delegate? How can I let someone else do what I do if I'm the best at it? But you just have to do it because there's no other way to grow than to trust someone else to do the job that maybe is not going to be as perfect as you do it, but it's good enough so that you can focus on something that's going to add more value. And to the next point, yes, I have seen more women, especially more diverse women, like even at I opened at the Reading Terminal Market last year, and I was the first, I'm going to say the first woman of color to open there. And, which is crazy, right? Like it's a historical location that's been open for years and years and years. And I think there were very few like women-owned places already, but like women of color. And since then, there's two black women-owned bakeries. There's a Filipino place. There's a Georgian woman-owned fast casual. So it's you're seeing all of this. So I love the changes, and it's also good for business, right? Because business is changing, and it's not just white men wanting cheesesteaks. Like, yes, that's still like, the main thing that Philly is unfortunately known for. But they also want pupusas. They also want kachapuri. They also want like steaks from other places. So I think diversity and supplier diversity is good for business. Like diversity and ownership is good for business, like overall.
I love it. So Sofia, would you say that it's fair to say that, that we're on trend to see continual growth?
Yes. As far as the Merkury, or as far as
both the Merkury and as far as the diverse women?
Oh, for sure. 100%. I think this is the new normal, right? And this is what we want to see. Like, still want more cheesesteaks, right? Like there's, like, yes, Philly is the city of brotherly love and cheesesteaks, but now it's also the city of sisterly love. I'm actually part of this group that is the Sisterly Love Coalition. And like, we're bringing more women, women who are starting their food businesses, and we're helping them grow, because there's more and more women who are saying, hey, this is possible. Like I can have my own business, and even though I'm not like the usual hoagie place, like I can still succeed, because sometimes that's even better, right? Because how can you compete with something that is all the same? Like people want something different, and different is sometimes what sells. So you don't want to be one of the same, like one of many, even if like that's what seems to be the most popular. You want to be the only one of something else, like the different one. So I think we are definitely on track to see more multi-culti business owners.
I love it. So Monica, understanding that the work that you do, I'm sure that you hear some of the success stories of some of the women that you've helped them go from concept to actually execution. Can you give us like a little excerpt on one of your success stories for one of the small business owners you've worked with?
So the one that it's popping to my mind, it is one small bakery. It was at a small bakery back in 2018, and she was doing business for 15 years priorly. She just had like a small shop, and then she was really successful. She started to selling their products in different bodegas all around North Philly, right? So she creates a channel to deliver their products to bodegas and have like wholesale services. So we help her to expand their business, to reach out to federal funding so she could purchase the real estate, and then she started like building we helped her to put together the financials so she could see the vision of expanding to more, selling to more bodegas and other, supermarkets in the area. And actually she was Business of the Year back in 2020. Her business is Sylvia's Bakery. It is in North Philly. And that is success. This is a person who is coming from Dominican Republic. She barely speaks English, but she managed just to grow her business, create the channels, and build up her brand, right?
That's awesome. So Marisol and Jason, can you speak to a little bit about how TD is working, with diverse businesses? Can you speak to a little bit about your supplier diversity strategy? How you're working with the businesses, currently now.
Sure. I'm happy to take that on. We have several different points of contact and, different action items, the way we like to seek out diverse and minority suppliers. For example, I just spent last week at the NBIC Unity Week, which is run by the NGLCC, or the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. They bring all of the various national level chambers of commerce all into one city. We talk about things like access to capital, what type of policy changes can be made, to help small, local, and diverse businesses. So we work on a higher level to, kind of clear some of the obstacles out of the way for small, local, and diverse businesses. And then on a local level, when we were talking about the different networking events, we go to those too, because that's a great opportunity for us to meet suppliers. And, sometimes scheduling a call with a business owner is a challenge for them because they have to operate their storefront, so when they're able to go to networking events, we're always there. I know Tommy goes a lot, I go a lot, Marisol, I'm sure we're going to start seeing each other more and more. So there's these networking opportunities where we can reach out. So those are just a few. In addition, when we have RFPs, we will reach out. I personally have a habit of reaching out to the local chambers of commerce and the national chambers of commerce and say, hey, here's a little bit about this RFP, or I'm looking for something in this particular commodity. If you have any recommendations, please send them over so I can have a conversation with them. So again, I know I keep circling back to working with your local chambers of commerce on a local and national level, but it's really important because they're your first line of getting your name out there other than yourself. And they'll help you with that, So, and that's one of my first lines of attack, is going to those minority and diverse chambers, because they have a relationship with a lot of these suppliers already. If I don't know them, they'll let me know, like, hey, I got somebody that's really good at, empanadas, or, somebody that's really great at construction, and I'll take their word for it. They're trusted in the marketplace. They've been at this for a while. They understand not only the needs of the supplier, but also the needs of the buyer. So it's a great full circle relationship there.
Yeah, I agree. And, you can't emphasize that enough about really being connected to the chambers and being connected to NMSDC. So I sit on the board of the Asian Chamber of Commerce, and I am not Asian, but I love sitting on the board of the Asian Chamber of Commerce. And so for just some of the simple things that you just shared, number one, I'm getting access to some diverse vendors who've already been vetted. And then number two, I'm also contributing to economic impact. And number three, I'm building meaningful relationships. And that's important, building meaningful relationships. And so even with that, those relationships turn into, being exposed to each other's network. And then everybody is actually benefiting from the relationship. So that's specifically key. Are y'all having fun? Because I am, because I got tons of questions, but I want to make sure that I give the audience a little bit of time. So I got a few questions that have come in, from the audience, and I'm going to try to weave in. So my first question goes to you, Monica. Loretto asked, does the SBDC provide legal services?
We have connections with legal services. We as a center don't provide legal services, but we have resources available for different legal advice. So,
All right, so Loretta, I hope that helped you. The next one is for Sofia. For Sofia, what did it take for you to open up a second restaurant after El Merkury? What advice do you have to entrepreneurs on scaling their business?
I would go back to the delegate. Again, it's the hardest part, but I had to make sure that, when I first opened El Merkury, the first one, I was there Monday to Sunday, open to close. And that's not sustainable, right? Like I was never, ever going to be able to open a second, third, anything location unless I cloned myself, which is what I looked into it and said, not possible. So, you need to just find the right team and be able to trust them that they're going to do the right way. And they're obviously going to make mistakes, but you need to allow them to make those mistakes and just focus on your growth, because once they make the mistakes, they learn from it, and then you move past it. And that is how I was able to open the second location, because I trusted my team that everything would be okay. And now both locations are on their own, and I'm able to focus on looking at other things and like looking at other projects, and I get a lot more done from letting my team handle the day-to-day operations. And I'm like working on the next orders, the next location, then like new projects. So I think just trusting your team and being able to delegate is the way to figure out how you're going to open that next location.
Bridgett, if I can chime
Absolutely.
in there, some of the things that might help a business to grow, like Sofia said, like is building up those processes, right? Like having the great team, it is super important, definitely, but having in place process, so know that the process it is going to be always the same, a little bit like tweaking here and there. But having those processes for your business, it will be easier because you can reproduce in different locations.
Yes, absolutely. Having a process is key. Having a process is key, and also being able to deliver on what you promise. That is also key. I think sometimes that, diverse or small business owner, or any business owner for that matter, get excited about the product. And sometimes we're not prepared for growth. We're not prepared for advancement. And so having that process in place helps you to be prepared for advancement. So the next question from Ramos, it says for the TD folks, so I'm going to say Jason and Marisol, are there any specific programs available for first-time entrepreneurs or small business owners who are considering scaling their business?
That's a great question, and it can be answered in many different ways. But what I'll start, and maybe Jason can add on to it. I mean, this goes back to kind of leveraging someone who's going to be able to provide you advice in terms of the type of business you have. So we would like to kind of like understand the scope of, I think you said Ramos business, and what the business needs are. And what we do is we leverage our BDO, which is our business development officer, and even our relationship manager. Once we understand the scope of the business and understand the business need, whether there's an internal program that can assist with scaling up this individual's business, we would definitely initiate conversation. And or if it's not internal, maybe leverage one of our community partners that may offer a program. So obviously the theme of the day has been like leveraging your resources and like building that strategic network. But definitely we're going to be sharing our info for anyone who may have more, one-to-one conversations. Jason, I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
No, I think that's excellent. You touched all the bases. It's really important to have a relationship with your banker, get in touch with your banker. And, that's a great place to start. They can make you aware of different opportunities within the bank and the services that are available, for newer entrepreneurs or someone who's looking to expand their capital, expand their footprint, expand their growth.
Yeah, and also too, to add to what Marisol and Jason said, like WeBank East and all those places, they have cohorts, and and there are additional plans and programs that you can go through at your own level and at your own pace. So because we don't want you to overwhelm yourself trying to get to a specific dollar amount. And so understanding that it's key for you to really develop that foundation, because if you don't have that foundation with a solid business plan, you don't have that foundation with really making sure you have the nuts and bolts of the business documented and in place, getting to these next steps are not going to help you. It's going to make it worse, because what happens is when you try to move forward, excel in growth, and the foundation is not secured, then you can't sustain it. And so it's really key for you to really take advantage of any type of resources that are out there. I can't stress that enough. Take advantage of any type of resources that are out there. And I would go as far as in saying that if there's someone who is successfully doing the things that you want to do, it is so good to connect with them. Now I'm not an avid believer of calling people saying, can I pick your brain? No, but I am an avid believer of, connecting with people to say, I would love to hear more about your journey, or connecting with people to say, can you share with me how you got your start? And so when you do things like that, first of all, people love to talk about themselves. So if you connect with someone who's already doing what you want to do, and you step into their world and present yourself the right way, they're more apt to answer your questions. But don't call somebody and say, hey, can you tell me how you raise this capital? No, develop that meaningful relationship so that they know that they can trust you. And developing that know, like, and trust factor is so important. So I know we're running down to our last 5 to 6 minutes. And so I think I have one more question from the audience, and then I have a question. All right, so someone says access to capital is a challenge for people of color. Any advice, Sofia or Jason from TD?
So I would say I'm an expert grant finder. Being a minority and being a woman and being a woman of color is hard, but there's grants for you everywhere. And that's one of the benefits of not being at the restaurant every day, that I have spent like several hours. Like I think I spend like at least 5 hours a week, like looking for different grants, because when you're a minority, there's a lot of grants that are dedicated for you. So leverage that minorityness and find those grants. I recently won $20,000 from Diageo, from Don Julio, because I wrote an essay about why I do the things that I do at the restaurant, but I'm not like for the love of what I do. So find those grants, and that's just really easy money. And then I think I would follow that with TD Bank, like find your relationship manager and make sure you build that relationship so that when you need the money, like you have access to it.
Jason? And then I'll come to you,
Yeah,
Monica. I think you have something to say too, Monica. Okay.
Those are all excellent points, Sofia. Thank you for that. I have 3 main points of attack. Number one, talk to your banker. That's, number one. They're going to know where the money is because they have it. Number 2, work with your chambers because they know where the grants are and where that money is. The different programs like the Department of Commerce for the federal government, they're always creating grants and ways to help small businesses grow, the SBA and things like that. Number 3, Google. Google is your friend. They have tons and tons and tons of information. You just Google like grant, small business, Black owned, brown owned, Hispanic owned, whatever qualifications, whatever diversity categories you fall under, and a ton of pages of information will come up that you can apply for. So using all of those, we go back to resources again. Those resources are out there and use them. And I see Tommy had mentioned, drop a couple things in the chat. We'll add his email to the chat as well as mine and Marisol's, so you have another person you can reach out to get that ball rolling.
Monica?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that one of the big recommendation is getting ready. So if you put together all your paperwork, your business is as important as your life. So in tough times, we saw this when COVID hit, right? There were a ton of grants and resources, like Sofia said, but people were not ready to apply for those because they didn't have a business license. They didn't have the tax returns in place, right? So be ready. And if you are planning to access to capital, you need to make sure that you have all your paperwork in the correct way and understand what are your capabilities to access to that capital, right? So if I am a small business, a really small business that is just making a couple $1,000 per month, I might think that I could access to a large amount of a loan, but maybe at this point, this is not the correct fit, right? So I need to be growing into my business, but I can grow just if I have in place my financials, right? So, and this is hard because when we talk about financials, nobody wants to talk about financials. Like a bank always is going to ask you for the tax returns, and you are going to be like, wait, what? What do you mean tax returns? But that's important. So make sure that you have your paperwork in place. And at the moment that those grants or those resources are available, you can apply. Because if you are going to start to get ready a day before the grant, the deadline of the grant is done, maybe it's not going to be as good for you. But the city, look into the city as well. There are a ton of resources, not just with banks, but with other community development institutions. So the city of Philadelphia right now has a ton of programs, so that can help a business to access to real estate or to match loans with different lenders. So just take a look on that.
Thank you. So to everybody who's watching us today, that I pray that something was said or done today that would cause you to actually start, growing your business. Also something to really stimulate your creativity. And then I also just see a note, TD Bank just earned being winner of the #1 SBA lender for the 6th straight year. All right, so if you have any questions, make sure that you contact, TD Bank. I'm gonna take advantage of the resources. So before we go, I'm gonna give all of our panelists 30 seconds to give final remarks. All right, Sofia, what are your parting words to our guests today, to our audience?
I would just say believe in yourself, because, and it's hard to believe in yourself when, you're knee deep in the dishwasher, but it's, if you believe in yourself, like, I think everything else will come. Sometimes it's hard, but if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. So I think that's the most important.
All right, believe in yourself. Marisol, what you got?
I would say be intentional with what you want to accomplish with your business, and definitely, leverage your community, leverage us, right? You can definitely connect with us. I think that's been the theme of the day, leveraging resources, building those connected communities, but be intentional about what you want to cause.
Yes. Monica?
I would say build up connections and don't be afraid to ask for anything or for help. So,
Jason?
Monica took mine. Don't be afraid to ask questions of anybody. Somebody has had a previous experience, to get there. And number 2 is just go to these events, show up. They are free. we go, everybody goes to these things, and you can just have a conversation, and it's very relaxed, and you never know what's going to come out of that. I've seen great deals, great opportunities come out of these networking events. So I'm a big advocate. Just Google, go show up, and just be ready.
Yes. And then my parting advice to everyone who's watching and listening, one of the things that I want to share with you is don't be afraid to dream. And don't be afraid to dream big. Don't diminish who you are. Always highlight who you are. Don't hide. Highlight who you are. If your dream is this big, don't shrink your dream to accommodate anyone else. As a creative, as a visionary, use your dreams to not only finance your life, but use your dream to really create economic impact, and use your dream to help your local community. So don't dim your light. Don't be scared. Just move forward. And even if you have to do it in fear, move forward. Take advantage of these resources. Connect with these amazing panelists. And it is okay if it's not perfect. It's okay if it's not where you want it to be. That's why we have these resources. You don't have to know everything. All you have to do is show up, be present, and be ready to receive. So thank you, everybody, for joining us so much. Thank you to Aldea for putting together this amazing panel. And let me tell you something. This is just the beginning of something great. As you are closing out this year, get your journal, start making notes, and prepare to start your 2023 right and connect with all these amazing people. All right, everyone, have an amazing day, and we will talk soon.